هيا شايفين يا عالم، هيا ما شهرين مسويه، كلفت 300,000 شيكل كلفت، والله العظيم لساتها البضاعة فيها لسه.
Israeli law enforcement has begun demolishing businesses belonging to Palestinians in occupied East Jerusalem, while the mainstream media and the corporate media in the United States has kind of moved away from this story to focus on other things. Unfortunately, tensions continue to rise in the area of East Jerusalem. Now, bulldozers along with Israeli police forces arrived in Al Bustan around 8 a.m. Locals said, and took about 2 hours to bring down a building which housed a butcher shop. The owner of the shop, Nidal Rajibi, had received the mandated warning letter, locals said, which had instructed him to pull the building down by last Sunday. So what Israeli authorities are telling Palestinians in East Jerusalem to do is literally demolish their own homes, their own businesses, and to move out of the area. And so what's the reasoning? Like, what are they telling these Palestinians? Why do they need to take down their buildings? Allegedly, they don't have the correct permitting for the buildings that they're doing business out of or living in. Now, I suspect that that's not the case. Now, the one Palestinian resident in the area told CNN, the Israelis told us to demolish our homes by ourselves, but the resident said we will not destroy our homes with our own hands. They demolished one store to put out a feeler for what is to come. They wanted to test the reaction of the Palestinian street. And so they're expecting more businesses and homes to be demolished in coming days. So this story, if that is the case, is likely to blow up further, and it could devolve to yet another war. And remember, just last May, the Israeli government was basically like doing airstrikes in Gaza, trying to evict Palestinian residents from Sheikh Jarrah. And that situation didn't just go away. It's unfortunately still simmering and could blow up again.
Yeah, okay, so meet the new boss, same as the old boss. So Naftali Bennett is the new Prime Minister of Israel, and he's also viciously right-wing and ridiculously orthodox in fundamentalist beliefs, okay? And it doesn't matter which religion. So why are they demolishing these buildings? It's literal ethnic cleansing, literal. So we get rid of the Palestinians, and who are they going to put in their place? Settlers. So Naftali Bennett has a long history of being very pro-settler, and the most radical religious sections in Israel is where he wants to put right next to the Palestinians, or better yet, just wipe out the Palestinians from East Jerusalem and repopulate it with the most extremist settlers that you could find. Okay, so that's, again, it's the definition of ethnic cleansing. You can say, well, I like ethnic cleansing when Israel does it. That's up to you, okay? But that's exactly what this is. On top of that, the legal system in Israel has systemic racism and discrimination built into it. So how so? I'll tell you exactly how, right? So they say, okay, you don't have the right permits here, so you Palestinians, okay? So we're gonna demolish your homes, your businesses, etc. We're gonna move you all out, okay, conveniently so that we could take Jerusalem. I mean, because you didn't have the right zoning permits. Now, the people living in those homes then say, okay, yes, but oh, great, no problem. We have deeds to our homes in what used to be Palestine and is now in Israel proper. So can I get my house back? No, you're a Palestinian, you have no rights. You're a dirty Arab. In the state of Israel, we don't give you rights. Oh no, but they get to vote and they have this right and that right. Okay, great, then give me my home back. I have a deed here for my home. It's right there, can I have it? No, you cannot have it because you're a Palestinian. And so that if that's not racism or discrimination, what is it? You can say, hey, no, Israel needs to protect itself, fine, okay. But you have to finish the sentence. Hence, I'm in favor of systematic racism against Palestinians. Hence, I'm in favor of ethnic cleansing, because that is exactly what the government of Israel is doing now, and it's indisputable. If you love Israel, you should hate what the government of Israel is doing now, and you should fight against it so you can reclaim a shred of the moral high ground, which unfortunately you lost decades ago. How long are you going to occupy these people?
Okay, so let's focus on that for a minute, because I think that's an important part of the story, and why I say that I suspect what they're arguing in regard to the permits isn't really actually the case, because this is an area that is illegally occupied by Israeli forces. So they don't have jurisdiction over this area, meaning that they can't enforce permit issues because they don't have, again, the authority to do that. So and by the way, the international community recognizes that East Jerusalem is being illegally occupied by Israeli forces. And Israel argues, no, this doesn't actually belong to the Palestinians. This is a sovereign area. East Jerusalem is a sovereign area. But what do you mean sovereign area? So what are you talking about, the permits? No, you're just demolishing people's businesses and homes without having any right to do it. And then they turn around, and if there's any type of retaliation, whether it be in the form of protest, whether it be in the form of them, using incendiary balloons, right? Airstrikes. Let's go for the airstrikes. That's what I'm terrified about, because the situation is so close to devolving to what we saw between Israelis and the Palestinians in May. And as we've said multiple times, the military capability and the defense capabilities, it's an asymmetrical situation. It's not even comparable, right?
Yeah.
And real quick, Cenk, the New York Times just did this investigative report on the deadliest day of the conflict in May, right? Where 44 Palestinians specifically died in Gaza. And so they looked at the airstrikes to see whether the arguments from the Israeli government were accurate. So let's just take a quick look at this video, which gives you the visuals necessary to see what their investigative report was about.
The Times has uncovered new details about these attacks that show how the Israeli military used advanced, precision-guided bombs to hit Ishkontana's neighborhood more than 20 times that night. The Israeli military has said that these strikes were carefully targeted. But our investigation will show how Israel dropped some of the heaviest bombs in its arsenal without warning on a densely packed neighborhood and with limited intelligence about what they were attacking. There is no evidence that Israel struck or directly targeted the apartment buildings. They initially said that they had been aiming at a tunnel which collapsed and brought the buildings down. But weeks after the attacks and after repeated questioning from the Times, the military said that what they had actually hit was an underground command center, but that they hadn't known its size or exact location before they bombed. Israel says Hamas intentionally builds military infrastructure under residential buildings, which would be a violation of the laws of war. The Israeli military hasn't provided evidence of what it says was the command center. Experts say that the type of Israeli strikes we documented can easily lead to catastrophe and could be a war crime.
So that was the night where the airstrikes wiped out nearly an entire family. One man lost his wife and all of his sons. The only person who survived was his daughter. And the argument that there was some sort of command center underneath the area that they bombed, I mean, there was no evidence of that. And so it certainly conflicts with what their previous statement was in regard to doing very precise strikes that target Hamas. Well, it's weird that every time they say that, we look at the death toll, and the majority of victims on the Palestinian side tend to be civilians, including literally hundreds of children.
Yeah. Now, look, in America, you get a totally skewed perspective because of our media and because of lobbyists. So the rest of the world all knows that climate change is real. We're the only idiots having a debate about it because oil and gas lobbyists have convinced our politicians, and our corporate media will do anything the corporate politicians say and their advertisers say. In the case of Israel, lobbyists have gone and yes, and they gave in campaign contributions to Republicans and Democrats, 100%. Obviously they have. Anyone saying otherwise is flat out lying, right? And so they've created a debate where there is no debate. So the entirety of the world knows that those settlements are illegal, that Israel's committing war crimes. And what do we have here? We have a false debate in America. Oh, it's anti-Semitism. The whole world, every single person on the planet is anti-Semitic. That's why they all agree that Israel, when they drop bombs on an apartment building and murder families, is not doing anything wrong. No, it's just the anti-Semitism, right? It's absurd. Is there real anti-Semitism? Absolutely. It's actually raging out of control in America, right? And there's a Republican, Paul Gosar, are. We're going to talk about later in the show. All these Republicans go around, oh, Judeo-Christian heritage, Judeo-Christian. Meanwhile, Gosar's going around doing speeches with a virulent anti-Semite. And who, it's just the guy is over the top in how he hates Jews, etc. right? So they're attacking synagogues, etc. There's real anti-Semitism in America and in the world. Of course there is. But does that mean that Israel gets to bomb Palestinians and murder them with obvious lies? You think the New York Times is anti-Semitic? That's absurd. It's absurd, right? So you're not helping Israel if you say, nope, I don't see it. War crimes and ethnic cleansing is totally okay if Israel does it. It isn't okay, it's horrific. It's destroying the moral fiber of Israel, let alone what it's doing in killing innocent Palestinians and ethnically cleansing them. It's unconscionable from any way you look at it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.